I promise that this will be the best YouTube video you will watch today. By the end of this video, you'll be an entirely new person, and you'll never look at the world the same way again. Okay, I cannot actually promise that. And do you know what taught me that I can't keep that promise? Of all things, a failed Kickstarter. If you don't know about Kickstarter, it's a website where creators can turn their ideas into a reality through crowdfunding money. However, they only have 1 month to reach their financial goal. Regardless, even if the project doesn't reach its goal, the creators still receive the money they raised. Kickstarter will obviously come up later in this story. On July 28th, 2021, I received an email from Alex and Leo, the sole members of the French indie game studio Indubitable. The duo asked if I was interested in streaming their new game, Cybele, before the game's Kickstarter launched at the end of summer. The game obviously wasn't finished yet, but Alex and Leo had released a demo on Steam that I could play. I already knew about Cybele because I had been following the project on Twitter. A few hours later, I responded to the email saying I would love to make some content about their game. And just a few days later, I went live with the Cybele demo on Twitch, made a YouTube video about the game, and even posted some stream highlights on TikTok. Alex and Leo thanked me for the support, launched the game's Kickstarter, and got fully funded in less than a week. End of story. Okay, you and I both know that's not what happened. After I promised Alex and Leo that I would stream their game, I went silent for 6 whole weeks. Not a stream, not a video, not a word. So why did I go ghost, and what were the consequences? Well, let me tell you. Alex and Leo initially emailed me on July 28th, 10 days before I moved back to college to start training for my job as a dormitory resident assistant. I had to pack and say goodbye to my family the week before I left, so unfortunately, it wasn't the best time to stream the demo. Plus, I was in the middle of concluding my most popular playthrough to date, Amori. I honestly didn't want to drop anything that week to stream the Cybele demo, so I didn't. Still, I knew that I should stream the demo sooner rather than later. Next, I successfully moved back to college, but I quickly became overwhelmed with my new resident assistant job. I had to train 8 hours a day for the next 2 weeks. When I wasn't training, I was decorating the dormitory. And just an aside, my dorm decks were fire, fuego, muy caliente. Can you tell I'm a Twitch streamer? Job training consumed all of my time. I had to take an 11-day hiatus from streaming because I had to focus on the job. Finally, by August 22nd, I had gotten back on streaming track. Keep in mind, though, that this was almost an entire month after Alex and Leo had initially emailed me. Thankfully, Alex and Leo never once emailed me asking what I was waiting for. But of course, as a 2-person operation, they probably had bigger things to worry about, like launching their Kickstarter. However, not a day went by that I didn't think about their game. I was guilt-ridden. I'm the type of person who has trouble relaxing because I keep thinking about all the other, more important things I need to do instead of unwinding. This time, that important thing was finally streaming Alex and Leo's game. I love indie games, and I wanted to support the pair who personally asked me if I would stream their game. Unfortunately, therefore, I felt like I was letting them down. At this point, I had to stream their game. Cybele's Kickstarter would launch any day now, so I knew it was the perfect time to stream the game. I emailed Alex and Leo for the first time in over a month to tell them I was ready to stream their demo. Finally, 43 days after Alex and Leo initially emailed me, I went live with Cybele. Funny enough, I finished the demo in only an hour. It was a gritty top-down shooter with a neat red and gray color scheme. The game was brutal. If you get hit even once, time rewinds and you have to try again. Die enough times and you have to restart the entire level. I won't lie, it's not the type of game I usually enjoy, but after a guilt-ridden month and a half, did it feel good to finally take this weight off my shoulders. However, I still had a couple pounds on the old traps. If you recall, I also promised Alex and Leo that I would share some edited content about their game on YouTube and TikTok. At the time, I had another massive weight on my shoulders, finishing that same Amori playthrough on YouTube. I've always had a gigantic backlog of stream recordings, or VODs, that I want to get onto YouTube. At the time, many of my YouTube subscribers were patiently waiting for my Amori playthrough to finally conclude. I knew I had to choose how to spend my scant free time. I could either pause my anticipated Amori series to edit the new Cybele VOD for YouTube, or I could sweep Cybele under the bed like a dirty sock until I got around to it. I think we all know what I chose. And once again, I felt guilty as heck. Every few days, I checked in on Cybele's Kickstarter. Alex and Leo were raising money, but as someone who used to support Kickstarters all the time, I could tell they weren't on the trajectory to fund their project. And I was right. On October 7th, 2021, Kickstarter had officially deemed Alex and Leo's project a failure. And oh my god, did I feel responsible. Yes, I know it wasn't my fault their project failed, but I'm an anxious person who worries. Maybe the YouTube overlords would have graced me with their blessings if I had made that video. It could have been featured on the home page next to Kitchen Nightmares, Mr. Beast, and a police dog hanging out with the baby. Of course, that idea is unlikely, but hey, it could have happened. Unfortunately though, now it never will. The game's Twitter has been silent for over 3 months, and Alex and Leo never responded to my last email, so I can only assume they're working on the game or they've left the project behind them. They did say they were hard at work on something back in October of 2021, but I'm not sure what they meant. I think about the butterfly effect a lot. If you're not familiar with the idea, the butterfly effect is basically a way of thinking about what would have happened if you made a different choice. Of course, it doesn't matter because you can't change the past, but it's fun to imagine. So if I could go back, what would I do differently? For starters, I would have been more transparent with Alex and Leo about my stream and work schedule. I initially told them I would stream their game within a month, and clearly that didn't happen. To be fair, I didn't know how demanding my job would be. Regardless, I should have contacted the pair to explain the big holdup. In addition, I would have paused the Amori YouTube series to make a Cybele video and maybe some TikToks. But then again, what would have benefited my channel more? Working on my most successful series or temporarily pivoting to something different? I think working on the Amori series was the right choice. Still, I feel guilty about the missing Cybele video nonetheless. And that guilt was enough to teach me to keep my promises. So next time I agree to showcase a video game, make a video, or dance like a monkey, I need to keep that promise. But in addition, I need to be more careful about what I promise. I need to think about my promises and decide whether they're realistic before making them. Otherwise, I'll put myself through this same regretful cycle. Maybe if I had done things differently, the Cybele Kickstarter wouldn't have failed. I know it's not my fault the project flopped, but I also know that if I had made different choices, things might have turned out differently. I don't bash myself over my mistakes because that's not healthy. But nevertheless, sometimes I think back and I wonder, what if? Hey, I'm guessing you really enjoy personal, moving stories. If so, I highly recommend my Amori playthrough right here. The game's story, the series, and especially the ending will not disappoint.